What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this I wanted to break down what's happening with the overall market and talk about some very important levels and what you should be watching for as time progresses. Let me first mention that I am not a financial planner. Make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Weeble link. The offer ends very soon. Deposit $500 and you're guaranteed 20 free stocks. Anyways, for the market, I just want to say that right now we have a very, very nice looking uptrend on SPY. This is like the bigger picture. Let me zoom in a bit more just to show you something very important. I want to see if SPY could hold above this trend line or not by the time we close. If we close below this trend line, which is currently around this, it would be technically around this 533 area. If we close below that, there's a chance the SPY could dip a lot more next week, especially because of this contraction we're seeing on our technicals. But if we hold above this trend line, this little dip could just get bought back up once we hit the trend line again. So this is our critical support. So far, SPY is holding up very well above it. And if we close above this, we're going to be in a decent place. If we close below this, we wouldn't be in as good of a place for next week. I want to make that very clear. But so far, the buyers are winning. The bulls are winning so far. They have the edge so far, holding SPY in this range. SPY is also kind of range trading between this 534 area. It's about 536. It's been stuck like this for about 2 days. And overall, we're holding up quite well. So I just want to say that once again, the bulls have the edge, but we have to wait and see if SPY holds this critical support or not. That's going to be key for today. For NVIDIA, we're also range trading. We have this 1200 area as our resistance. Could go a little higher than that. We have this support, critical supports at 1180. This is where our 20 EMA happens to be. If we lose this support, there's a gap. I know you guys can't see the gap since I have this extended hours on, but this is where the gap is. It takes us down to about 1164. We're going to be dipping all the way down to the 1160s if we end up losing 1180. And the reason why that's significant is because it's going to have a big effect on the QQQ and the NASDAQ. So don't forget about that for NVIDIA. So watch and see. We're kind of range bound right now into the 1200s, but there is a risk if we end up losing that support. For Tesla is very boring, very, very range bound, going back and forth and back and forth. It's been doing this for an entire month. But next week, I believe Tesla is going to break out of this range because of the shareholder meeting. I'm very confident that's going to happen. We just have to give it a few more trading days. Then we're going to be looking for something very, very big. We have this resistance currently around this 180 area. If this breaks, I'll be looking at 182 and higher levels. If we fail to do so, I'll be looking at 176 as support. Losing that could cause a dip down to the 173s. But overall, it's just back and forth price action, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. There's not really a whole lot else going on with Tesla. So for now, it's just kind of stuck. And I think it's going to close within this range, not really do it too much now, just remain shoppy. But next week is when we're going to see a massive, massive move. For the QQQ, we are just barely at this support right here. So it's showing a little bit of weakness compared to SPY. And I'm noticing that we're trying to hold 462.5. If we close below this trend line in the 461s, that could be a little bearish for next week. And there could be a risk of it coming down towards our 20 EMA around 460. If we hold support, we could rebound and start pushing all the way up to about 464. In my personal opinion, there is a risk of this dipping lower. So we'll just have to wait and see how things end up going. But in my personal opinion, I do think that there is a risk of some downside if we end up losing the support. We're just barely holding on to it. So we're going to just have to wait and see how we close. Watch and see if we end up closing here on the QQQ at 462. 462.5 or below. Just wait and see. We'll be very patient for now. Apple's holding up relatively well. This is helping the QQQ also hold up simultaneously. Right now, we're looking at this 196 range as our resistance. 196 to 197 is where we're kind of stuck. And we also have support at 195. We've been stuck within this range for the past two to 3 days, actually. So we'll give it some time and see what Apple does. It's still looking more bullish on the 4 hours, so it does favor more upside for next week. So it has more strength relative to the market. For a few more, Supermicro is kind of flat right now, not really doing much. It's like a pancake back and forth price action. We have this 788 level as resistance, 754 is support. We're just completely stuck. That's all it's done all day, kind of stuck. Rivian's coming down a bit. I did mention to you all it might actually test this 20 EMA, but it could bounce later on because we have a very, very nice uptrend. So this dip could be followed by a bounce. We'll watch and see how it goes from there. For a few more, let me mention Bitcoin before I talk about Coinbase. Bitcoin's dipping right now. We're below 69,000. That's not the best of signs. We could be looking for a dip on Bitcoin. We got a little rejection. If we fail to hold 69,000, I'll be looking for a dip all the way down here towards 68,000 and 350. That's where the previous resistance happens to be. So Bitcoin's range bound. I was saying this in my earlier videos. We're kind of range bound on Bitcoin. This is leading to some downsides. So watch 69,000 support. See if you break through that or not. And then going back to Coinbase. Coinbase is dipping towards 245 basically. This previous support, this previous resistance becoming support. If we lose this, I'll be looking at 238. If we hold this, we could rebound, but there is a risk of it dipping a little bit lower. For Amazon pushed all the way up to about 186, kind of rejecting a bit. If we do fail to hold this, we'll be looking for a dip all the way down to about the 183 area. But overall, it's still holding up quite well. We will see if we try to break past 186 next week. It's still holding up, showing some strength. Meta is also shuffling. We have a range now on Meta. If we lose this 491 area, we're going to be looking for a dip back down to 486. If we hold above 500, we're going to turn bullish. We're just shuffling now, but there is a risk of it dipping since 500 is tough resistance. So we'll just have to wait and see. GameStop popped and dropped. Exactly what I told you yesterday. I told you to be careful with GameStop. These stocks are very manipulated. A lot of these memes are very manipulated because retail trade them, and there's a lot of other things going on, which I'm not going to get into the full details of. I just want to say that if we don't close above 28.73, then there's a risk of us coming down to about 23 flats next week. If we hold above that, then we'll see what happens, but overall it's looking a bit more bearish. AMC is no different. If we lose 4.88, we'll be dipping all the way down to fill the gap at 4.34. We're looking kind of weak right now, so give it some time and see how we close. The memes are looking weak with all the halts and such, so that's something else that's worth noting. All right, so we will see how the market holds up, if it holds critical support or not. Hopefully this video was very insightful, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you, and peace out.